I truly believe that is, if we believe it, if we know it, then that will be the case. So good morning, One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. As always, whether you're joining us in real time or replay, you are welcome in our loving community circle. And today, I would like to pull together. You did a great job setting me up here, Lissa. I got to tell you, thank you so much for that. And I apologize, I forgot to turn on the recording, so your piece did not get recorded. But you did a great job setting us up for what we're talking about today, because we've been talking about love all week. And so, not all week, all month. And since this is our last day of the month talking about it, kind of like to pull it all together. You know, we kicked it off the first Sunday at Alm Center for Spiritual Living, and Reverend Suzette and I, we talked about how compassion and loving kindness are pathways to express love, which was really a lot of fun. And then I spoke about love as a synonym for God, and how love is the source of all creation, that we are love. And then we looked at the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi as a template for the activation of love in our human lives. Make me an instrument of love. Last week, I spoke about how love expresses itself through the mechanism of creative law, how love and law are intertwined and both active within us all the time, and both necessary for the expression of love in our lives. And this week, I'd like to, as I said, kind of bring it all together and look at consciousness as love. And I share your sentiment, Lissa. I kind of went down a rabbit hole too. I had to kind of pull myself back because consciousness is a big topic. So consciousness is love. Interesting topic. Not only are we sourced from love, you know, God and love is a synonym, our source, but we're also infinitely connected in love. You know, love is the connective tissue throughout all of creation. You know, it's consciousness itself. It's like the metaphor, and you've probably heard this metaphor, but I really like it. It's like the metaphor Indra's net. Indra's net is an ancient Buddhist, actually it's Hindu as well. It's a metaphor for our interconnectedness. Indra's net is the image of an infinite cosmic net stretching endlessly out in all directions. And at each knot in the net, you know, where all the little connections are, there's a multifaceted jewel. And each jewel is reflecting all the other jewels in the net, each containing the whole within it, each jewel radiating universal love, each an individual expression of the whole. And Indra's net is such a beautiful image of the love that connects us all, reminding us of our oneness within the infinite net or consciousness of God, connecting us all within universal love. And I was thinking about how I use the word consciousness. And I have to say that I often find myself using the term consciousness to describe the divine presence, God, spirit, the all that is. But I tend to use consciousness when I'm looking for a word that describes that interconnectedness, you know, just like Indra's net, to describe how the universe is actually one big field of information and possibility, you know, one big database, if you will, of infinite potential. But I don't want us to miss the point that the essence of consciousness, of Indra's net, is not only data and information, but a field of infinite love, always moving towards a greater and a greater expression of itself, the expression of love. And I've come to believe that love is the essence and the meaning and the purpose of life itself. Some may disagree with me, but that is how life feels to me, like its purpose is love. And you don't have to just take my word for it. Let's look at how Science of Mind describes consciousness, what ancient wisdom traditions and other spiritual traditions say about consciousness. and what science tells us about consciousness. What is consciousness? How are our consciousness and love the same? Who are we within consciousness? And how can we use the potential and the creative power within consciousness intentionally to create meaningful and joyful lives? So let's start out with our founder, Ernest Holmes, and see what he had to say about consciousness. I found a good quote, I think, from Holmes. It's in the Science of Mind text. It's on page 54. And Holmes wrote, God is love. God is law. God is intelligence. God is consciousness. God is spirit. We are individualized centers of this divine life, immersed in its love and governed by its law. So he labeled God as all these things: love, law, intelligence, consciousness, spirit, and that we are these individualized centers within this infinite life. In the glossary in the Science of Mind text, Holmes defined consciousness, or actually he called it conscious mind, as universal intelligence which reveals itself in all creation. You know, and what I understand from, and what I glean from what Holmes said is that he sees consciousness and love as inseparable, because both are the expressions of the one life. For Holmes, God is infinite consciousness and the creative mind that sustains all of existence. And the very nature of that consciousness is love. So God, love, consciousness are all one and the same. And to live consciously then is to allow divine love to express through us, aligning with our thoughts and our beliefs and our awareness within this divine truth, within this divine consciousness of love, knowing that love is not just an emotion, but the nature of consciousness itself. Love is the unifying presence, the heart of all creation. And, New Thought is not alone in this perspective. Many indigenous and mystical traditions think of consciousness as not an isolated thought, but the living awareness of the universe itself. I really like that line. The living awareness of the universe itself. So everything is alive with this consciousness of love. And many ancient traditions teach that this living awareness is bound together by love, expressed as interconnectedness, compassion, and care for each other and for all of creation. Native American traditions teach that, some, that the Great Spirit is the conscious presence permeating all of creation, and to live in harmony with it means to live in reverence and love with all beings. Love is seen as the meaning and the purpose connecting all things, all life, just as New Thought does. Buddhism doesn't speak directly to the idea of God as consciousness, but it does teach that an awakened consciousness, a consciousness grounded in universal love, naturally manifests as compassion and loving kindness, which is kind of how we kicked the month off when we were at home. And in Judaism, consciousness is the seat of the awareness of God, which they say results in ethical living. Human consciousness is not seen as separate from divine consciousness, much like New Thought. Human consciousness is meant to perceive, to align with, and participate with the consciousness of God and God's will, which always moves towards good, towards a greater and greater expression of love and an expression of itself. And then Christianity defines God as the love that we all live within. That God is love, it says in John. And then in him we live and move and have our being, it says that in Acts. So early Christian mystics like St. Augustine, Meister Eckhart, saw human consciousness as a spark of the divine mind, which is love itself. And we experience the life of God, or the life of love, to the degree that we become aware of our own divine nature. And I have to say that that is not necessarily an intellectual activity. It is an activity of the heart, activating our innate connection to the divine mind as our source and our supply, and our connection to the whole of life. A consciousness of love is something that we must embody to see expressed as our lives. You know me, I'm always looking for stories, and I ran across this really great folk tale that was written by the great novelist Leo Tolstoy, and it's called The Three Hermits. And I think it really illustrates how we embody and experience the power of God's love rather than just having an intellectual activity about it. That this is the way that we really activate it in our lives. So the tale goes that there were three hermits who lived alone on a small island, and they led a very simple life. I'm paraphrasing here, I'm not using his words. And their only prayer was, "We three, thou art thee, have mercy on us." But even though it was just this very simple prayer that they said over and over again, great miracles were said to have manifested from this very simple prayer. And one day, a local bishop heard about the three hermits and their very simple prayer. And he decided that he was going to visit them and teach them some canonical invocations, the right way to pray, basically. The bishop arrived on the island and he told the hermits that their simple prayer was undignified. And he taught them some customary prayers. And so the three hermits, they listened politely. And afterward, the bishop left on his boat, thinking, oh, well, I've done my job. And a few minutes after the bishop left, he took off in his boat, he saw this radiant light following his boat. And as it got closer, he saw that it was the three hermits. They were holding hands and they were running on the waves of the water to try and catch up with the boat. And they finally caught up with the boat and they told the bishop, "We forgot your prayers. We forgot the words that you taught us. We need you to repeat them for us so that we can memorize them." To which the very shocked and amazed bishop said, "Oh, dear ones, please just continue to say your simple prayer." Clearly, it was working for them. In consciousness, these three hermits experienced their oneness with universal love, and it didn't matter what words they spoke. It was all about how they embodied the divine consciousness of love, how they lived their lives from that state of being, not allowing fear or doubt or anything to distract them from that love, from that presence. And of course, we can do exactly the same thing. So I was thinking about how to look at this from a scientific approach. And, I turned to my latest kind of read, which is Tom Campbell. Tom Campbell is a nuclear physicist, and he's the author of a book called My Big Toe, or The Theory of Everything. And Campbell had an interesting life. He was introduced to meditation during his college days. He self-confesses that he was this very strict intellectual guy who didn't, meditation, scoffed at it. But he saw this ad for transcendental meditation, and it said that it would increase his ability to focus and to think critically. And that caught his attention because, he's an intellectual guy. So he wanted to be able to do that, to focus and to problem solve. And during this, so he went and he learned how to do transcendental meditation, which served him well. And he says that during his many years of working at NASA, he would be working on a problem at work that he was not able to solve, that was just really stumping him. And then he would go home and he would meditate and he'd be able to solve the problem in a matter of minutes. I just think Campbell just does such a fantastic job of marrying science and spirituality, not unlike our wonderful Ernest Holmes. And Campbell reasons that science is a world of measurements, of quantities, things in the realm of time and space that can be measured. But as we step out of the world of form into the world of pure consciousness, we encounter qualities, potentials, probabilities. And Campbell says both have their place. He teaches that consciousness is the essence of the larger reality of cause, and that its highest evolution is love. I'm going to read you his definition of consciousness, which I really like. I agree with it. So he says that consciousness is a fundamental, self-aware information system that underlies all reality. And within this system, each individualized unit of awareness, us, our point of consciousness, evolves by making choices, either that reduce or increase the energy of love. He actually used the word entropy, but that was really sciencey, and I didn't want to confuse us. But basically, the energy of love. And he goes on to explain that we can either make choices that help us evolve toward love, characterized by cooperation and unity and alignment with universal spiritual truths, or we can make choices that devolve us towards fear, characterized by separation and selfishness and disorder. He's actually saying pretty much the same thing we say in Science of Mind, that as we align our individualized consciousness within the larger consciousness of divine mind, or the field of potential, that we're empowered to make choices that are rooted in love and harmony and truth. And then we express our harmonizing good from these qualities, from the essence of love. Or we can align with fear or separation or resistance, how that feels. And then we diminish our creative power, and then we create limitation and discord in our lives. It's in our embodiment of either fear or love that we move closer or farther away from an expression of our own divine nature and our power to create fulfilling and meaningful and joyous lives. It's all choice. And we make those choices within the consciousness of love, within this, what he calls, and I love that he says that there are probabilities within this consciousness of love, because I think that's true. But Campbell's definition of consciousness really speaks to me, because he defines consciousness as awareness with a choice, and that fits my personal experience of consciousness. So I'm going to offer you something here. I have no attachment to being right or wrong. It's just my experience, and it may or may not resonate with you. All I can truly say from my own perspective is that consciousness is. I know that. Consciousness is. Because my experience is that I am having an experience in consciousness. Because I can pull back from the information that I take in through my physical senses, from what I hear and what I see and what I smell and touch and taste, and usually I do that through the process of meditation, by going within. But even when I do that, when I pull back from all the senses of my body and my environment and time and space, I am still aware. I can still make choices here and have imaginal experiences in here. And I can't know anything outside of my personal consciousness. I can't step outside. No, I can. I can step outside my physical experience, my physical reality, and look at my human life from an objective perspective. I can be that witness, right? But I can pull away from my body, from my environment, and time and space, and witness my human life. It's almost like I'm watching it like a movie. But I can't do that with my awareness in consciousness. I can't step outside my consciousness and look at me functioning within consciousness. I hope that's not too complicated, but that's what tells me that this is the foundational reality. It leads me to believe that consciousness exists, that it is the reality of existence, and that I can exist as a point of awareness within a larger consciousness. And I also know that I feel my best, I feel good when I have the experience of love within my individual consciousness, and all of the qualities that relate to love, of peace and beauty and connection and vitality, abundance, all the life-affirming qualities that we feel within that essence of love, which leads me to know beyond belief that love is my natural home within this consciousness, and by extension must also be the nature of my source, of the larger awareness that I feel connected to, whatever you want to call it, God, spirit, source, consciousness. And this is also the way that I feel connected to you, because we are connected in this larger consciousness together. It is what draws all of creation together within this larger existence. I hope this makes sense. I read it over and over a few times when I was thinking about how I wanted to put it, and it makes sense to me, but I hope it does to you as well. Because I do believe that consciousness is the foundational essence of reality of life. Another thing that Tom Campbell teaches about consciousness, which also makes a lot of sense to me, he says that the future is not predetermined, which of course science of mind teaches as well. That it exists as a cloud of likely outcomes. I like that, a cloud of likely outcomes within the larger consciousness. And some outcomes are more probable than others, depending on how we think and how we feel and our state of being. But when we embody the qualities we want to experience, love, peace, abundance, competence, creativity, we're not just thinking about them, we're actually embodying our intent to experience them and to demonstrate them in our physical world, in our human world, because consciousness is causal, and we're always shaping our lives through our intent within consciousness. We're not at the mercy of external forces. We're not victims of circumstances. We're empowered to change our lives by changing how we feel within consciousness. And this field of conscious love responds to our dominant feeling. In other words, the more we embody, the more we become what we want to see demonstrated in our lives, the higher the probability is that it will demonstrate in our lives, because we demonstrate who we are. We manifest in our lives, not necessarily what we just think about and what we affirm, but who we are, who we believe we are, what we have embodied, And that's reflected back in our life, and isn't this exactly what science of mind teaches? I was thinking, I don't think I've actually ever read or heard Holmes use the word probability, but he did teach that we must embody the feeling tone of our prayers, that we must become the resonance of what we want to see demonstrated in our lives. So I'm going to finish up with this. I read this wonderful example from author Ian Cummings of how we can imagine moving into that expanded state of consciousness to express love, a way to fully embody our intentions. And I'm just going to give you the abbreviated version here. I'm paraphrasing because it was long and it was beautiful. But anyway, he wrote that to picture an average backyard with a fence all around it, and imagine that you have spent your entire life inside this backyard. And suddenly one day you're walking around and you discover a gate. And you open the gate and you walk out into this beautiful open field, a field that appears to go on forever and ever. A field that you realize has always been there, but you never noticed it before. A field that feels different, where you feel different. Because in this field, you know that everything is fine, everything is good, that all of your needs are met, everything. And you know that everything is whole and everything is filled with this radiant love, no matter what the conditions were in the backyard before. And that everything is connected, despite any previous appearances of separation in your backyard. And you know, and you feel peaceful and joyful and almost kind of giddy, actually alive. I mean, really alive and present, as if the moment in front of you is the only thing that is real. And that your usual energy of striving and controlling and managing your life, along with the underlying stress and worry of that, is gone. It's been lifted. It is clearly not needed. This is what it can be like, stepping into the infinite possibility of consciousness, the consciousness of love, the foundational consciousness of love. And knowing that you are empowered to put your attention exactly on how you want to feel. That where you lay your awareness is your conscious choice. And the more you embody the truth, the resonance of that choice, the more you step into the feeling tone of your choice, the more you ensure the probability that it will demonstrate as your life, as your experience. Now imagine that the reality you experience in these moments is actually just a glimpse, just a little glimmer of the larger reality, the consciousness of love. A world that we might not usually see because we get so consumed by what is in the physical world already, rather than what is possible within the consciousness of love. But the truth is that world is always there, waiting for us just to walk through the gate. So let's walk through the gate together, because when two or more are gathered, the probability goes way up. And everything in me knows that a world of peace, of love, of abundance, of beauty, and joy is just on the other side of that gate. So come with me. I invite you. So let's pray. I know that all there is love, God, the consciousness of the ever-expanding wonder of life. I know that it is me. I know that it is you. I know that it is all beings and all creation. And so I speak my word for and about each and every beautiful soul that is on this call, and each and every beautiful soul that is not, that we move beyond the gate together, that together, as we experience the presence, the choice of peace, we increase the probability and step into the reality of a world that is alive with the beauty and the resonance of peace and love and joy and abundance and wholeness and connection and the beautiful, meaningful experience of our oneness in God and the consciousness of love. So I just say thank you for this. I just say thank you. I feel the expansion. That gratitude is just that creative expansion of life. Thank you, God. And I rest in knowing that this is already so. And we now make it our choice. So for this and so much more, I simply say thank you, allow it to be, and together we say, and so it is. So I have to admit, I kind of went down the rabbit hole a little, but I was trying to, it's difficult to describe an experience of consciousness. Put something that you are unable to articulate into words. Oh my goodness. So, I don't know who is doing the conscious giving. Is it you, Relaine? Possibly. I don't know. But I will put up the.
I can do it if you want.
Okay, would you? I don't know who's supposed to, but if you would, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. No worries.
Thank you, Relaine.
Well, that's fine. Yes, there's wonderful ways to give through Venmo at One Heart, One Mind Center. Just look for Reverend Michelle's lovely picture, or you can mail a donation to her address, which is right there. And we'd love to receive blessings of abundance from all of you. So thank you.
Okay, let's see. And this is our affirmation.
Sacred giving. Okay, so we can just relax and feel this prayer. I give with a grateful heart, knowing that Spirit is the source and the substance of all supply. I joyfully participate in the circulation of abundance. My offering blesses the world and returns to me multiplied, and I'm so grateful, and I am prosperous, and so it is.
Thank you, Relaine. And if you don't mind, I'll come back to you for the benediction.
That's fine.
And as far as announcements, tomorrow is Memorial Day, but I don't know. I don't have any plans for Memorial Day, so I'm gonna get on the prayer call. If you want to join me on the prayer call tomorrow at 6 o'clock, I would love to see you. So anybody that wants to pray tomorrow at 6, I'll be on there. And if you're not, I'll know that you're out having a barbecue with some friends or something. And
It's Labor Day.
I'm sorry. Labor Day, not Memorial Day. My bad. So let's see. And on Tuesday, we were scheduled to have our class. And then my husband reminded me yesterday that Tuesday is our 25th wedding anniversary.
Oh,
I did not even remember. And so we are going to go out to dinner rather than have the class. So we're going to postpone the class for a week. I hope that's okay with everybody, but yeah. Well, I think, 25 years is notable. We should honor it. So,
Yes, yes, yes.
so other than that, I think the prayer group meets this week on the 3rd, September 3rd at 10 o'clock, and Relaine is nodding yes, so I am sure that it is. Wonderful. And yeah, and I think that's about it. Can I invite you to do a benediction for us, Relaine?
Oh, sure. That'd be great. So let's just feel all the love, the consciousness of love right here in this very moment, just feeling it, feeling the resonance, feeling tone of just a higher and higher resonance of love and compassion and kindness and joy and peace and truth and flow and goodness, all this wonderful, wonderful qualities and aspects of God in and of and through and all around us. In and of and through my cat, it's meowing here. In and of and through each and every one of us and everyone in our communities and in the world. We just, all nature and the mountains and the rivers and the oceans, just everywhere. It's just such consciousness of love and kindness and compassion flowing all around with the angels that are with us as well. And so I'm so very grateful for this service this morning and the message of the consciousness of love and all that we feel and resonate with as we hear this higher talk of, as Ernest Holmes said, the highest high road of beingness. in this consciousness. And so I know that we feel and move and live in this place of love, this place of compassion, this place of kindness in our hearts and our bodies and our minds and our spirits and our souls, and it just in every living being, all sentient beings, all creatures that take a breath. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God, for the shifting in consciousness, for really feeling and experiencing and knowing this truth in our everyday moments. And dedicating, to quote Louise Hay, dedicating love as the theme of our life. So we release it, and Michelle said, and allow it to be so. And so it is.
So it is. Okay.
Thank you so much, Elaine. I'm gonna let Michael Gott take us out with his Love Can Move the World.
Just one life, that's all that we've been given here. Just one chance to make a difference where we live. I'm just one man, I'm only human, but only human means I've got a lot to give. Love can move the world as the moon in the sky moves the sea. Love can cause the wars to cease. Love can move this world to peace. It's a tide that begins with you and me. Love can move the world as the warmth of the sun moves the tree. Feel the wind of love increase as we move this world to peace. Come love the world with me. Look around, there's someone hurting near you. Look around, there's something you can do. Look within you and find your spirit to change the world. There's got to be a change in you. Love can move the world as the moon in the sky moves the sea. Love can cause the wars to cease. Love can move this world to peace. It's a tide that begins with you and me. Love can move the world as the warmth of the sun moves the tree. Feel the wind of love increase as we move this world to peace. Come love the world with me.
Move the earth. Yeah, come move the world with me, with love. All right, well, thank you all for being present. I'm gonna go ahead and stop our